Welcome to lesson 3.1 about regexes or regular expressions. Let me share my screen. So regular expressions are a way to match sequences of characters. And so by the end of this lesson, you guys should be capable of matching sequences of characters within large amounts of text using regular expressions. So regular expressions, a shortened version of that term is regex or regexes. I've heard regex as well. Not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced. There's one correct way. But they're a domain specific language or mini language or tiny language to concisely match characters in large amounts of text. And I have on the CMS a handout called Handout Regexes PDF for students to look at. This is the front page. I use it in another class as well. And it has kind of a summary of the regular expressions, most common ones, useful ones. There's also a website called pythex.org, and it is a regular expression tester. So you put your test string in here, and you put your regular expression in here, and it shows you the matches down here. But they have down here at the bottom a regular expression cheat sheet that has quite a few of the things I have on the handout and more. So that's useful. Okay, so let's just jump right in. The best way to learn these is just to jump right in. There is a tutorial here I'd encourage you to look at least skim, if not take, a good number of minutes to look through and run the code and figure out how to do this. This is based on Python, this tutorial here. They're using Python functions. So that's a great tutorial. Okay. In my opinion, the most useful regular expressions in Python are these 5 that I have listed here. There are others, but these are very useful. re.search is, it returns 2 things. It returns a Boolean value of true or false, whether it found the regular expression in the string. And number 2, it returns a match object that has various methods on it that you can use to get information out about the match. That's re.search. re.findAll returns a list of matches, the characters that are matched. re.findIter returns an iterator that must be traversed or iterated over to pull information out. An iterator is something that is meant to go into a loop. We'll talk more about loops in this lesson, in this week 3. And re.sub does find and replace substitutions. The most useful flag in regular expressions, in my opinion, is the re.ignore flag, which can be abbreviated as re.I. Okay, so let's just jump right in to this. So you're gonna write import space re at the top of a Python script, a file, and then we're gonna use the re.findAll function to just simply learn how to use regular expressions. We can use pythex.org to test out regular expressions, but I encourage you to actually use Python to get familiar with at least this function. But I'll just show you real quick how you would use Pythex. So I'll just put a test string in here. I walked to class today in the snow, whatever. So that's my test string. And then my regular expression. So let me jump back over to my lesson plan real quick. So if I wanted to find a word that ended in ed in a large amount of text, what I could do is do \w 1 or more times ed\b. And you can see down here it says match result, and it highlights in green that word walked. So it found the one word here that ends in walk, in ed, walked. Okay, I did that real quick. This regex I just threw in there real quick, but let me show you what I just did. So if you're looking at the handout that I have in the CMS, you can see that a \w gives you an alphanumeric character. Okay, so that is Arabic numeral or an lowercase or uppercase character letter. So \w gives you an alphanumeric character. And then I'll flip back over to Python real quick. So I have \W right there. Make this much bigger for us. \W, and then I have a plus sign after it. The plus sign down here in the quantifiers section says 1 or more. So it gives you 1 or more of the previous thing. So in this case, we want 1 or more alphanumeric characters. That's what that plus sign does there. And then we want the actual letters ED. So I just put those in there. And then the \B says word boundary. So down here at the delimiters in the handout, it says word boundary. Okay, so \B would find a word boundary. So when we look down at the result again, you can see that it found walked. Now, if I were to put another word that had ED in it, but not at the end, like I don't know, just put, I love education. So I have ED at the beginning of a word, right? ED right there at the beginning of education. And so the regex is not finding that word because that word does not end in ED. Now, if I were to remove this \B, what do you think is going to happen? You guessed it, it's going to find, well, if I do that, it'll find the ED in education. Anyway, so the idea here is that you can have a lot of control over what characters you find in what context in a large amount of text. Okay, let me just do one more, and then I will encourage you to pause the video for a good number of minutes and just do what you can. Okay, so let's try number 2 here together real quick. A word with anti at the beginning. Oh, you know what? Let me jump over to Python and do what I'm doing in Python. So here, what do I have? I just have this test string in here. Let me just double check. I have a word that ends in ED in here. Do I have a word that ends in ED? Yeah, right there, offered, ends in ED, and walked. Okay, so this is how you do it. You import re. It's called a module in Python. It's a module that you add in. It has functions that we can use. The functions I mentioned a couple minutes ago, the 5 useful functions. Okay, so on line 2, I'm just simply importing that module. It's called a module in Python. And on line 3, I'm creating a test string that we can use to just see if we can create correct regular expressions, regexes. And then on line 6, I'm using the re.findAll function right here. And then the order of arguments here is that you have your regular expression right here, comma, then the variable that's holding the string that you want to look in, which in our case is text, right? I called it text. This could be any variable name, right? This could be any variable name that we want, as long as it's well formed. And then here's a flag, re ignore case. Now you can't actually type out flags like this. To make it explicit, you're talking about these are flags here. Okay. So that's how you do that. And we're going to put the results into a variable called results, and then simply print them out to the screen so we can see it. So let me just run this. I'm using this keyboard shortcut to run this little script. Let's see what happens. Oh, I see the problem. This is for me. So we want to find an alphanumeric character 1 or more times, followed by ED at the end. And let's do a \B. So this is what I just did over in the website. \W gives me any alphanumeric character. The plus sign gives me 1 or more of the previous thing. That is 1 or more alphanumeric characters. Then I actually want the letters ED. And then I want a word boundary. That is at the end of a word. Okay, so let me run that again. Yeah, and it finds offered and walked here in my console down here at the bottom. Okay, so that worked. Good. Let's jump back to my lesson plan. And let's find a word with anti at the beginning. If some reason we are interested in anti, looking at all the words that have anti at the beginning of a word, then we could do the following. So there's anti-constitutionalism, big old long word. And so if once again, we want to find anti at the beginning. So let's rewrite this regex here on line 6. What we're going to need first is a word boundary. So \B, we want to find a word boundary. Then we want to find an anti, those 4 letters, A-N-T-I. And then we want to find some additional word letters. Well, alphanumeric letters. So \W, but we don't just want one. We want one or more, right? We want a word that begins with anti, not just the word anti. So we need some more. So we're going to say +sign after that \W to find one or more alphanumeric characters after anti, which comes after a word boundary. That is at the beginning of a word. So let's run this. I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut, enter. And yeah, it found anti-constitutionalism in that big long string. Well, it's not huge, but okay. So okay, if you like to pause the video and try to work on some of these, see what you can do, looking at the handout, looking at the cheat sheet on pythex.org. Okay, I encourage you to take some time to try and see what you can do with this, with these questions. Ready, set, pause. All right, welcome back. Let's try. I have all of these on the solution file on the CMS. Let me just explain. I just want to explain these. So if you want to find both the American and British spellings of labor, okay. So let's see if we can do that. Let me grab this. Okay, so let's just walk through the logic of this regex here on line 6. I have labor already up here, labor right there, American spelling, and labor with the U, the British spelling. And if I want to find either one or both, right, what I could do, I didn't explain this real quick. On line 6 here, right before the opening double quote, I have an R. That makes it a raw string. Anyway, when you do regular expressions, you should do that. You should put an R before the opening double quote. The reason is so you only have to do one backslash here. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so I need a \B, so that's a word boundary, right? I want to find a word boundary. Then I want to find LABO. Okay, then I want to find a U, but that U is optional. So that question mark right there on the right side of the U, it means optional, meaning 1 or 0 times. Let me just jump back over to my handout. And the quantifier section right here, a question mark is 0 or 1 times. That is, it's optional. As this is different from the question or the +sign, right? The +sign means 1 or more. So that's why we can find big long words with just \W +sign, 1 or more. But question mark means 0 or 1. Okay, so jumping back to my script. So I'm saying I want to find a U, but that U is optional. So that question mark right there says the previous thing is optional. Then I want to find an R, and then I want to find a word boundary. So I don't want to find labor in the middle of some larger word. I want just the word labor, so I surround it with these \B word boundary markers. Okay. All right. And just for good measure, I'll put flags in here. You don't have to do this on this function, but other functions you do. Okay. Let me just run this real quick. Keyboard shortcut, enter. Oh, I see why, because I changed, right, let me just change this over to text. I changed it to TXT rather than text. Okay, so there we go. We found labor, American spelling, and labor, British spelling in this big long string here. Okay, so we've seen a couple things here. We've seen \W is alphanumeric character, \B is a word boundary. We've seen the +sign, which means 1 or more of the previous thing, previous character. And then the question mark is 0 or 1 of the previous character. Okay, let's jump to the next one. Let's see if we can find Jack, Mac, or Pack in a big long string. So I have those already in here in my string. They don't have to be near each other, right? These could be far from each other. I just have them next to each other because that's the way I wrote them in. But let's see how we could do that concisely. Let me pull this over here, pull this in here. So once again, we're going to do a \B for word boundary. Then we have, let me make this much bigger for us so you can see very clearly what we got going on. So we have a square bracket. there. And then we have capital J, capital M, and capital P, and then a closing square bracket. This is called a character class. And what it does is it says, I need one of these things in here. Give me either a capital J or a capital M or a capital P. Not all three, nor even two, just one of those things in square brackets. That's called a character class. And then I need ACK followed by word boundary. Okay, so let's see if that works. I'm going to run the script, keyboard shortcut, enter. And yeah, sure enough, there we have Jack, Mac, Pack down here in the console in the bottom part of my screen. Okay, so this is something new we just saw. We just learned right now, character class. You can put in characters, but it only choose one of the characters in the character class between square brackets. Okay. Okay, let's keep moving. You can pause the video anytime you need to digest a bit more my code. So we want to find both American and British spellings of center. So in this case, there's not just one optional letter like the U in labor. We actually have a flip of two characters, center ER in the American spelling and center RE, the British spelling. Okay, so let's look at that. And so here I'm going to use find iterator here. So I can show you what's called a capture group as well. Okay, so looking at the regex itself on line 6, let me just double check. I have center right there, American and British spellings up there in the text. Okay, so I need \B for word boundary. I need CENT. They both have those 4 letters at the beginning of the word. And then I have a parentheses. Then I have ER. Then I have a vertical pipe operator. The pipe key is the key above enter on the keyboard. And you have to do shift and that key above enter to get the pipe operator. It's a vertical line. And then RE. And then parentheses. And then \B for the word boundary at the end. Okay, so what this means is with the parentheses, it says, here are some options, and each option is divided by a pipe, that vertical line. Okay, so we either want CENT plus ER or CENT plus RE. Okay, and then here I do, I just printed out, don't sweat too much line 7 if you don't understand what those mean. That's a for loop, which we haven't seen yet. Just look at the regex for the moment. Okay, so let's run that, see what happens. If all goes well, we should see center and center, British spelling, down here at the bottom part of my screen. Okay, so once again, this is, you can put longer options than just one character in parentheses with a pipe, separating them. Okay, once again, if it's just one character, we can just use the character class with square brackets, like we saw with Jack, Mac, Pack. Okay. How about this one? An 8-letter word with J as the 3rd letter and T as the 6th letter. For example, majestic. Majestic has J as the 3rd letter and T as the 6th letter, and it's 8 letters long. If for some reason we need to find words that fit that criterion in a massive amount of text, like a novel or a whole corpus, we could do so with a regular expression. Let's look at that. There are usually more than one way to do a regular expression. So if you got the same result with some other way of doing it, that's great. Okay, so let's look at line 6 here. Once again, we have the R before the double quote. And then we have, by the way, that can be a single quote. Word boundary, \B. Then we want a word alphanumeric character, \lowercase w. And then here we have curly braces to curly brace, opening curly brace to closing curly brace, right? So what this means is I want exactly 2 of the previous thing. Let me jump over to my handout. Right here under quantifiers, we've seen the plus sign, we've seen the question mark, and now we have a new quantifier. curly brace, and then a number, an integer, curly brace gives you exactly that many occurrences. Okay. So I want exactly 2 alphanumeric characters. And then I want the letter J, because that would be the 3rd letter, right? If I have 2 previous ones, then J, that's the 3rd letter. And then I want 2 alphanumeric characters again. And so that's characters 4 and 5. And then character 6 will be T right there. And then I want an alphanumeric character 2 times exactly. So that'll be characters 7 and 8. And then word boundary. Okay, so I should have majestic up there. There's majestic right there in my text string. Let me just run this back. Okay, let's see what we got. Yep, there's majestic. It found majestic in that string. Okay, so again, this is a new quantifier we've seen. Backslash, or excuse me, not backslash, curly brace, integer, curly brace gives you that number of characters that come right before it. So in this case, an alphanumeric character. Okay. All right, you can pause the video if you'd like to look at that. Okay, let's jump back over to my lesson plan. Words other than best that end in EST. Okay, words other than best that end in EST. Let's take a look at that. Here we go. Okay. So once again, on line 6, within the re.findAll, open parentheses, R, opening double quote, we have alphanumeric character here, backslash W alphanumeric character, 1 or more times. And then this is something new. Within square brackets, we have a caret right before B. So this is going to find one character that is not B. So this is something new. So if you put a caret at the beginning of a list within a character class, within the square brackets, it's going to find something other than one of the characters in that character class. Whereas before with Jack, Mac, Pack, we had opening square bracket, capital J, capital M, capital P, closing square bracket, which said find one of these. When you have a caret, this caret symbol right here, this is a little hat tick caret thing. I call it a caret symbol. That means don't find one of these listed characters. We only have one here, but you can have more than one character after that caret. So we don't want it to find B. Okay. So let's run that and then find EST followed by a word boundary back there. Let's run that and see what happens. And it found happiest. Good. Happiest is right there. But look, it did not find best, even though best is in that same string. If I put rest in here, it should find rest. Actually, it won't find rest. This won't find rest because I'll explain in a second. Yeah, it didn't find rest. The reason is because I'm asking for one or more alphanumeric characters here. Then I'm asking for one character that's not B, and then EST. So the word has to be 5 letters or more. Now, if I changed this, if I changed this plus sign to an asterisk like that, I bet it would find rest now. Yeah, it did find rest. I have rest somewhere else in there. Oh yeah, right there. Oh, I have best up there as well. Yeah, so it did find rest this time. Once again, so the asterisk is a new quantifier that we haven't seen yet. Let me flip back over the handout. So right here, an asterisk means 0 or more of the previous thing. Okay, so it's saying find an alphanumeric character 0 or more times, so it could not find it. And then find a character that's not B. You have to find at least one character that's not B. And then find EST followed by word boundary. That's why it finds rest, because it only has to be 4 letters long. Once again, before when I had a plus sign here, it had to find at least one alphanumeric character, and then at least exactly one character that's not B. So that's why it did not find rest, although it did find happiest. Okay. All right. Pause it if you'd like to digest that a bit more. Okay. A more concise regex then parentheses, first option pipe, second option pipe, third option pipe, parentheses. So we can make this more concise. Let's try that. I have another option there for the non-best EST word in the solutions file. Okay, let's jump back over here. Good. Put it in there. All right, let's look through this. So we got what we've had quite a few times now. re.find all open parentheses R, which means raw string, opening double quote, and then \B, again, word boundary. So we want to find M, A at the beginning of a word. And then here we have a character class we've seen before. We either want D or K. Okay. And then one of them, not both. And then we want E. Then we want an S, but that S is optional because of that question mark that comes after it. Right? The question mark says 0 or 1 of the previous thing. And then we want to find a word boundary. So let's double check my test string that I have. There's make, makes, made. Okay, let's try it. Yep, it found make, makes, and made there. So that's a little bit more concise, perhaps less transparent for those who are new to regexes than this one, but this one's better. All right, let me just stop right there. If you'd like to take a look at that and digest that a bit more, go ahead and pause the video and look at that for a minute. Okay, let's look at the same letter twice next to each other in a word. Okay, this gets into captured groups, which is getting a little more advanced, but I'll just present it. If you don't understand this immediately, don't sweat. Okay, so this right here, let's grab this little bit of code and put it into there. Okay, so we want to find the same letter twice next to each other in a word. So like the word indeed, let's double check we have a word like that up here. Yeah, we have 2 F's right there. We can get indeed in here if you want as well. 2 E's or even committee. And go crazy with the double letters there. Okay, so what this says is we want to find alphanumeric character. The asterisk means 0 or more times. Then parentheses, we want to find another alphanumeric character, parentheses. So what the parentheses do here is they remember what that character is. Whatever that character is, that \W between it, whatever it is, it could be any letter or number. And then the \1 that comes right after it means look for this thing you just remembered within parentheses. I want to find that again right next to it, right next to what I just remembered. And then find alphanumeric character 0 more times. So this means that the double lettered, the 2 letters could be at the beginning of the word, in the middle of the word, or at the end of the word. All right, so we should find indeed, committee, and offered. Maybe some, happy, yes, we'll have it as well. Professor should have it, should come out. Okay. And I'm using the find iter again here. Just kind of concentrate on the regex for the moment. Okay, what do we got? Yeah, we got professor, offered, happiest, indeed, and committee. Yep. So that is the way to find words that have 2 letters that are the same right in a row. Let me see, do I do a little bonus thing on vowels next to each other? just real quick, if you wanted to find words that have two vowels, not just consonants, so we don't want offered nor happiest nor professor, we could change this right here, this \w to a character class, right? Like this, square back and say A-E-I-O-U. We want to find one of those in that character class and remember it with those parentheses and then find it again. So if I run this, we should not get professor nor offered, and we don't. We just get indeed and committee. Good. Okay, good. Moving right along here. Two words next to each other with the same final letter. Once again, you need to use parentheses to capture. Now, I'll just point out, we're getting into some more advanced stuff. And so if you're struggling with what we've done so far, honestly, perhaps just stop the video now and just kind of review what we've done so far. But I'll just keep going ahead. Two words next to each other with the same final letter. So perhaps that might suggest a rhyme, right? Or two words next to each other with the same final two consonants, suggesting a possible rhyme. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's grab this little bit of code, bring it up over here, take a look at the regex. So let's just kind of walk through this. Once again, we want to find alphanumeric character one or more times. Then we want to find and remember an alphanumeric character that is at the end of a word, because we have a word boundary to its right. And then the capital W here, \capital W, means non-alphanumeric character. Let me flip back over to my handout. Right here, capital W, that is \capital W, means non-alphanumeric character. And we want to find a non-alphanumeric character one or more times, right? So that could be space, it could be comma plus space, it could be question mark, and exclamation point, and space, right? It'll find all of those. And then we want to find alphanumeric character one or more times. And then the \1 here says, find that same thing you remembered over here between parentheses. I want that same letter, whatever it was you found, I want you to find it here. And then find a word boundary. So we'll have a word that ends in one letter. We're looking for a word that comes right after it that ends in the same letter. So let's double check. What do we have in here? We got best and rest there. We got the restaurant there. And I bet there are others I'm not. Oh yeah, Jack, Mac, Pack, all that stuff. Okay. So let's run that and see what happens. Yeah. Yeah, we got best, rest, we got eat, at, two T's, right? A T at the end. The restaurant. We got lake, the. You can see that, once again, like I mentioned, it would get one or more non-alphanumeric characters. So we got the period and space. Anyway, so you can see it did that. We got T's here, we got K's there. And it's only looking at the last letter because that's all we asked it to look for. Even though we have the last three letters here in best and happiest and the last three letters here in Jack and Mac, it's only looking at the last letter. Okay. So I'm going to pause the video and look at that. Go for it now. Okay. Let's modify the previous regex to not consume the second word so that it's available for another search. This is pretty darn advanced regex stuff, and so don't stress if you don't understand this. But let me show you how to do that. What you do is you do look ahead. Oh yeah, let me do the bonus thing real quick that I mentioned in the previous exercise. Let me show you the bonus one. The bonus question was two words next to each other with the same final two consonants, suggesting a possible rhyme. Okay, so it's pretty similar. What we're doing is we're looking for an alphanumeric character one or more times. And then we want parentheses. And then we have a character class. The caret, which means don't find one of these 5 characters. Don't find an orthographic vowel. And then I say I want to find those 2 times. I want to find a non-vowel alphanumeric character, just a non-vowel 2 times. And remember those 2 non-vowels. And then find a word boundary, lowercase \lowercase b. And then find a non-alphanumeric character one or more times, \uppercase w +. and then find alphanumeric character one or more times, backslash lowercase w, plus sign, and then \1 says, go back and remember and look for what you captured or remembered here with the parentheses, between parentheses, and then find a word boundary. Okay, so let me run that. Yeah, we got ES, we got ST here, best rest. We got ST on best happiest. Double check that. Yeah, we got best and happiest next to each other. We got best and rest next to each other. And we got Jack and Mac next to each other. So the CK were found on those two words. Okay, so if you want to take a look at that regex, go ahead and look at it there or in the solutions file. Okay, let's try this next one. Modify the previous regex to not consume the second word. This is called look around. So it's we're getting pretty advanced here, doing look around. What it means is it doesn't consume it. When it finds it, it doesn't consume it so that it's available for another search. So let me just walk through the regex here. We have \w plus sign, alphanumeric character one or more times. Then we have parentheses, or remember something in a capture group. Character class with the square brackets. Caret, which means don't find a vowel. Don't find one of those 5 characters, which are the orthographic vowels. But I want 2 of those non-vowels, right? So that between the curly braces, 2 curly brace, 2 of the previous thing. And then there's the closing parentheses. So remember all of that. And then find a word boundary, backslash lowercase b, right? Then backslash uppercase W plus sign means find a non-alphanumeric character one or more times. Then here's the new thing. Parentheses, question mark, equal sign means I'm going to give you something and find it, but don't consume it, which means don't like gobble it up in your search pattern, because we want to be able to use it for future searches. Okay. Then find alphanumeric character one or more times, and then find the thing you remembered back here with the previous set of parentheses here. That's what that \1 does. And then close this parentheses for the look ahead. This is called look ahead. Look to the right. And then find a word boundary, \b. Okay, so let me run that and see what happens. Okay, so what it found was it found best here. So it didn't actually grab rest because this, once again, this parentheses, question mark, equal sign is what's called a look ahead. So it looks there and uses what it finds over on the right side to match what it has on the before the parentheses, but it doesn't consume the stuff that it finds in over here in the parentheses. So that's why it wasn't captured. This was found, best was found because it's followed by rest, but rest itself wasn't captured. Best here was found right before happiest, but again, happiest was not actually captured because of this parentheses, question mark, equal sign thing. That's the case all throughout here. Okay. So that's how you can not consume. That can be useful sometimes. Yeah, it can be useful. Okay. The underlying portion of this is a first sentence. So from that S on this over to the first S, the only S on sentence there, using greedy matching. We're getting into some advanced regex stuff now. So if this is stressing you out, perhaps just stop the video and practice what we've done so far. All right, so we are going to find the underlying portion from the S of this to the S of sentence. Basically the first S in the string to the last S in the string, right? From here to here, we cover the first S all the way to the last S. And it's pretty simple. The regex is pretty simple. It just says find an S. Then the period in regular expressions is any character, alphanumeric or non-alphanumeric, anything, any character, white space, punctuation, letters, numbers, any character, 0 or more times. That asterisk means 0 or more times, right? And then find an S. Okay. So this is called greedy matching or greedy capturing, because it's going to go all the way until it finds the last S in the string, which is in sentence. Let me run that. Yep. See, there's the S of this is a first example S. So it grabbed the first S in the string, went all the way down till the last S in the string and captured those. So this is called greedy because it jumped over this S here in is as well as the S in first. Okay, so went all the way down and grabbed all the everything between the S's, the first and last S. Okay, so if I take a look at that, go ahead. This is called greedy matching because it's greedy. It'll go all the way and do everything it can to the end of the string until it finds the last S in the string. Now let's do this. The underlying portions of this is a first example sentence. So we want to go from this S to the next S and stop, and then go from the third, that is, S to the fourth S in the string. This is called lazy matching or non-greedy matching. Let me show you how to do that. And it's pretty simple. You just add a question mark after the quantifier. So the question mark has a couple of functions here. If it comes after a quantifier, another quantifier, then it says, do this lazily, non-greedily. So find an S, find any character, alphanumeric or otherwise, or non-alphanumeric, 0 or more times, but then stop once you find the next S. So let's run that, see what happens. Yep, there it is. We have S space is, which is being pulled from the last S, or the S of this and over to the S of is. And then we start again from the S in first and go over to the S in sentence. So we have ES space example space S. This is called lazy or non-greedy matching, where it will stop once it finds the next S. If we put this quantifier, if we put the question mark after the quantifier, the asterisk there. Okay, so it's very similar to the previous one. The only difference is that we put a question mark on the right side of the asterisk to say, hey, this quantifier here should be lazy. Just go to the next S and stop. And so it does it twice because we can do it from this S to the third S to the fourth S, in addition to the first to the second. Okay, good. Here we go. Words that begin with T regardless of case, that is T or T in the following sentence. Good. Let's see. Well, we've been doing this all along, but I'll just show that real quick. We've been ignoring case all along. But here we go. Okay, so the only thing we need to pay attention to here, I mean, is this flag right here, this RE dot capital I, the abbreviation for ignore case. All right, you could write flags to be explicit. That this should let me see what. Let's see. Oh yeah, I don't print it out. I didn't print that out. That's why I'm not seeing anything. Did you see that? I did not print out the results. I just created the results, but then I didn't say, hey, Python, print it out to me so I can see what's going on and do that. Yeah, we got the and that, regardless of case. So the only thing here was just adding the flag to ignore case there. Okay, good. One more practice exercise. Write a program that asks the user for a couple words about him or herself and gives a regex to match the word I. Let me see. You know, I didn't write a solution to that. But we can just talk here. How would you write a program that asks the user of the program for a couple sentences about him or herself, and then you write a regex regular expression to match the word I. Well, we know how to use input pretty well at this point, right? You just ask the person to give a couple sentences, write a couple sentences about him or herself in the input function, save it to a variable, and then that variable will be what you search for a regex in. Let's just look at the regex itself. I guess I can do it. Let me do a, I'll just go ahead and do it real quick. I don't even need that anymore. Sure, I'll just do it real quick. I'll call it bio equals input. Tell me about yourself. And then we're going to, I guess I'll just do results equals find all regex within bio flags equal, don't worry about, actually we do want to worry about case here. One thing, we do want to worry about case because we want to find the actual word I, that is the first person pronoun, subject pronoun. And this is pretty straightforward. All you do is do word boundary, capital I, word boundary, right? And we don't put the flag in to ignore case because we want it to find an actual capital I. Let me run this and I'll have to write a quick little bio about myself. Tell me about yourself. I'll just say, I am Earl Brown. I love linguistics and computer programming. Oh yeah, I didn't print out the results again. Let me print out the results there. And let me just grab this little bit of text I just wrote to not have to rewrite it. Copy that, rerun the script. And I'll just paste it in down here, paste that in. So yeah, I used I twice. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. The major thing here is you don't put in the flag to ignore case because you want it to respect the case that you give it. Okay, so those are 15 exercises about regular expressions that I had you guys do. How about this little formative quiz to finish up this lesson? Formative quiz. Identify which word or words, if any, are matched by the following regexes from the following sentences. Linguistics is an exciting and thriving field, especially computational linguistics, which broadly speaking, deals with using computers to analyze language. Some of the best paying jobs for linguists are in this field. Excuse me. I call it a formative quiz because let's just talk through it. Let's just think through. And in fact, you should pause the video now and spend a few minutes looking at the regex and say, okay, in this sentence, and there's just one, there's two sentences, what words will be captured by this regex? Okay. So try this little formative quiz for a few minutes and then we'll talk together. Okay, ready, set, pause. Okay, let's try this. Let's just talk through here. I think I'll use Courier New to make this more computer-like rather than Times New Roman on this. You just put Courier New, perhaps it's a little bit easier. Okay, so the first one says, okay, we have the raw string opening quote, double quote, right? Then we have alphanumeric character, one or more times, S, word boundary. So it should find words that end in S, right? Like linguistics, is, etc., deals, this. Let me just go ahead and throw this into a Python script real quick, this little text, copy that over to here. I'll throw it in a variable called text, like that, txt really. And then let me just grab this regex itself. I'll just copy this whole regex, bring it in over here and put it right on top of that one. Change this to txt. I am going to put the flag in to not worry about case, to have it ignore case, case insensitive. I'm going to run this script. And linguistics is, linguistics, deals, computers, etc. All these words end in S, as we thought. Okay, if I take a look at that, look at the solution file. So what's this doing here? This says we're alphanumeric character one or more times. Then we have a character class with the square brackets, right? And we want D or T. And then we want a word boundary. So we want at the end of a word. So all the words that end in D or T. We got field, best, and field. So let's see if we're accurate with those three guesses. If I put this in here, run this script, and oh yeah, and is in there as well. Field, best, field, down here at the bottom of my screen. Yep, okay. Next one, this one says, alphanumeric character, asterisk, which means 0 or more times, not just 1 or more times like with the plus sign, but 0 or more times. Okay, then we want either I or O or U, I or U, right? We have the character class square brackets there. Then we want either A, E, or I, not all three, nor even two, just one of those. And then alphanumeric characters 0 more times. So we're just looking for either I or U, followed by either A, E, or I. So we should, let's see real quick, we should get, linguistics has that, right? We have a U and an I in that order. We should get field because we have an I and an E and probably others. So let's just go ahead and copy this and take a look. Try this in that sentence. Run the script. All right, we got linguistics field. Especially we have an I and an A there. Linguistics again. Language, a U and an A. And field again. Okay, so yep. You want to take a look at that? Go ahead and pause the video for a minute and look at that. Let's take a look at this next one. Roman numeral 4 says alphanumeric character 1 or more times, followed by an alphanumeric character that we capture and remember, just one alphanumeric character. Then we want to find a non-alphanumeric character, capital W there, 1 or more times, followed by an alphanumeric character 1 or more times. And then the \1 again refers back to what was captured before. That is whatever it found right here. And then the word boundary. Okay, so we're trying to find a word that is followed by a word that ends in the same letter. Because remember, we're remembering or capturing the letter here right before a non-alphanumeric character. And then we're finding it again here right before a word boundary. So let's see, I guess linguistics should be found. Analyze and language should be found, right? Because we have an E there and an E there. And that may be it. Let's try that. Then grab this regex, copy it over to my script, paste it right on top of the previous regex like that. Run the script. Yeah. Oh, okay, I see what the problem is. I gotta find all. So it found it, but what it did, find all, when you put a capture group in, it only returns the capture group. That's why I was using find iterator before. So let me real quick change this. If I can do it quickly, that'll be great. If not, then we'll move on. Print r dot, is it group? How is this? Is it group 0 or group 0? I don't know off the top of my head. Let me see if that works. No. Is it groups? Sorry, let me jump back over and look at the way I did it over here. Group 0. Let me just grab that. Results. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we have linguistics right, because it's followed by linguistics is followed by a word that ends in the same last letter that linguistics does. Analyze language as well. Okay, good. If I take a look at that. And here we go. Let's take a look. Word boundary, character class within square brackets, caret, which means don't find one of these characters, then find one of these characters, followed by alphanumeric characters one or more times. So we're looking for something that's not a vowel, followed by something that is a vowel, one of the vowels, 5 orthographic vowels. All right, so we should find ling, should find G, well, this is gonna be the whole word. So linguistics, most of these words, we're gonna get a lot of words out of this, right? Let's go ahead. This should be like CV, that is consonant vowel syllable structure. Just like that, this. Run the script, and yeah, we got a lot of words here that do that. Right, computational. Right here, you're thinking, wait, and AN is not the case, but it is because there's a space. It found a space, then a vowel, because that caret right there means something that's not one of those 5 characters. So it could be a consonant, or it could be punctuation or white space, and that's exactly what it found here. So it's not the best way to find CV consonant vowel syllable structure, but okay. And the last one here, a little formative quiz, is the opposite. We want to find a vowel at the beginning of a word that is word boundary, one of the 5 orthographic vowels, followed by something that's not one of the 5 orthographic vowels, and then followed by one or more word characters. So this should give us a vowel consonant structure. So let's see. Like is should be found, and should be found, exciting should be found, but thriving should not be found because that begins with the consonant. Okay, let's put this right on top of that. Run the script. Yeah, these should all begin with vowels, and they all do, I believe. Yep, and especially using analyze R. Yeah. So we have had a pretty thorough introduction to regular expressions. This was a lot of information thrown at you in a video. And I would encourage you to watch the video again, look at my solution file, which I just pulled my solutions from, right? I put it on the CMS. Look at this tutorial at regularexpression.info. Again, I linked to from the lesson plan. And just try and make examples for yourself. Like say, okay, how can I find whatever, you know, some word with some sequence of characters using a regular expression. This takes practice to get this skill, to get it down. But there you have an introduction to regular expressions in lesson 3.1. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.